Welcome, everyone. We are going live today on what we're going to do for 2025, how to master your photography and go into the new year absolutely blasting. Now, everything is changing pretty rapidly, incorporating AI into our photography, as well as, a completely changing landscape as far as where our images are going to be placed. Magazines obviously are completely obsolete these days, as well as a lot of print media that is becoming, less active and less, and also a lower payment for photographers based on usage because it's becoming less relevant. Digital is obviously becoming king. Things are shifting so radically that as photographers, we do need to stay up with the times. Now, as a photographer, of course, there are going to be some absolutely core aspects to our success that we really need to focus on going into the new year. And, now is a great time. It's the winter holiday. A lot of people are kind of slowing down and getting ready to kick off a huge 2025. And for me, this is going to be absolutely key to your success. So, as things are shifting, we're going to be talking about some of the massive transformations in the marketplace, what clients are looking for, and how things have adjusted over time, and what we're going to look at in 2025 as far as what clients are looking for and what they want to see out of their photography and production teams, because it is changing. It's changing pretty rapidly. But we're also going to go to some of the core tenets of what is going to make your brand super powerful and prepare you for the next year. Now, this is a great time of year because a lot of photographers haven't even really been thinking about the next year. They've been just focusing on, getting projects done and finishing things up for the past year. But going into 2025, I want you guys to think of yourself as a fresh new brand. Now, one of the things that's key is to really remember essentially what clients want and what is hot right now. Now, one of the things I would say that's super hot and what we've been seeing in the marketplace is we've been seeing a lot of shifting towards lifestyle. And also because AI has become so prevalent and a lot of I would say over perfect images are created on AI. There definitely, I have seen in the marketplace, especially for the advertising industry for photographers, that there has been shift more towards, I would say, more of a real and authentic kind of feeling that doesn't look like AI. Because if you guys have ever played around with Midjourney and any of the other AI models, they all kind of have the same look. They all kind of have the same kind of feel. And, there are obviously photographers that are going to have that same kind of look as AI, which honestly is kind of a disadvantage because every time you photograph an image, a client is going to think, oh, is that real or is it AI? And that can be a concern. Right now, a lot of art buyers and creative directors at ad agencies are looking for photographers for authentic artwork, meaning not necessarily going into the AI world just yet for their commercial advertising campaigns. Obviously, it's going to happen, but as of right now, they're still hiring photographers to photograph the projects for them. But there are a few ways that we can become a bit more AI proof and to be able to stand above in the marketplace. One is to actually incorporate AI into your photography, being able to relay to your clients that you're on top of it with AI, that you can incorporate AI. And what that can even mean is just incorporating it into Photoshop. Photoshop, the newest Photoshop, it actually incorporates some really great AI techniques that obviously you can use to speed up some of your retouching. You can always use a bit of an AI with maybe adjusting some of the things in the background if you're photographing characters and they, a person, they don't want, some random tree in the background or random people in the background. Obviously, there's a lot of really great AI tools to remove that. I personally still keep a lot of my photography completely pure and away from AI. However, I'm totally willing to incorporate it if the client is looking for that, because, really, we are just providing a service. We're providing photography that the clients are looking for to advertise to their clientele, to essentially shoot campaigns for clientele. Now, if many of you guys do know me, I've worked with many of you over the years, but I'm Kevin Michael Schmitz. I'm a celebrity fashion advertising photographer. I also have my bachelor's, my MFA to be a professor of photography. So I've been in the photography space a long time, and I've seen a lot of transformation over the years in the photography world. But what I would say is one of the greatest transformations, and what I would say most photographers need to do now more than ever before, is not just create world-class, spectacular images that are iconic and beautiful like this, but photographers also need to create unbelievable video content. Video is absolutely king. And although they have released Sora right now, which is, essentially kind of, an unbelievable OpenAI AI model for video, I still feel like it's a long way off from doing all commercial productions and, TV shows and films with AI. So I think that there's a huge opportunity for photographers, which we all have these SLRs that shoot video right now. Get into video, get into shooting world-class video on every one of your photo shoots. And if you guys are not familiar with video, or you've been holding back, then I would say now is the best time to jump in and to get video going. And if you aren't familiar with it and you're struggling with it, obviously we can give you some tips and pointers. I mean, I have been running the photography workshop series for the last 16 years. And at every single one of our elite photographic workshops, we also incorporate high-end video production at every single one of them. And I think that's important. And the reason we do that is not only, because we want to shoot of this shoot, but we want to shoot a video version of the photographic content that we're creating. And what's great about that is when you're shooting the video version, you're almost creating essentially like a fashion film. Content that it takes the photography and it takes it to an entire new level. And I'm seeing more and more of this year and going into next year. Photographers absolutely are required to shoot video. It's non-negotiable. And at every photo shoot, even if you're not being booked on a video production, you're being booked on a still production, I still strongly recommend you bring a gimbal. I personally like the DJI RS4, which is an amazing gimbal. I've used it to shoot all this content that you're looking at right here. This was actually shot with some of our amazing photographers that attended our Newport Beach lifestyle photography workshop, where we shot with 5 to 6, even 7 models in a day, each day shooting mind-blowing content, creating the greatest images and video they've ever shot in their lifetime. Shooting at a multi-million-dollar mansion, and this $18.3 million mansion that we shot at, the video content actually sold the house for that record $18.3 million, which was pretty incredible. We worked with the team from $1 Million Listing, and they basically gave us this house in exchange for creating this unbelievable fashion film there. This fashion film sold the house for a record price, so which is pretty amazing. It's pretty exciting. And we do these at every one of our mind-blowing workshops, but especially something like this, where we can really capture both outside and inside, doing video, mixing in, shooting with a drone, which I love, the Mavic 3, shooting in at 4K at 120 frames a second, and then also shooting 4K at 120 frames a second with my Canon R5C and on a gimbal, which is amazing and creates this mind-blowing content. So do strongly recommend it. And those of you guys who are a little bit hesitant about doing video, you know what? Don't be scared. The best thing you can do is just practice doing video, and try to avoid any hand holding of the camera. I can't tell you enough how hand holding the photographic camera is not going to work out very well for you, because any type of movement of the camera basically makes the content unusable. So for me, I never, ever hand hold a camera when I'm shooting video. What I do is I always use a Ronin, a gimbal, and I do everything on a gimbal. So everything is smooth and perfect at all times. And I can't tell you how important that is to create beautiful content when shooting video. It is really, really, really important just to have a stabilization. On top of that, I also like to shoot a lot of stuff with a lot of slow motion, because I find that with slow motion, it also creates some really beautiful moments, and you can also dodge some of the problems and pitfalls that you'll have with camera shake. I can tell you from the photographers I've coached over the years, that's one of the most common challenges that I see is a lot of camera shake. And that's why, like, you see how smooth this is. This is all done on a gimbal and shooting beautiful R5 and R5C content on a Ronin, and create this beautiful moment where you feel like you're inside of the scene with the talent. Now, of course, AI can do some stuff like this, but it doesn't look as authentic and real. And also, you still have to edit through it. So there are still some limitations when it comes to AI and video. And that's why I still think, at least for 2025, it's going to be absolutely key for us photographers, not only to create mind-blowing photographic content, but to also shoot great video content that we can also use for our clients. And even if you get hired just for the photography part, we can always license that content after the fact. And I always tell my clients, even if it's just a still shoot, I'm like, I'm going to shoot video. Sometimes I do it as a value add to get me booked, or if I'm already booked, what I'll do is I'll shoot video, and I can always ask to license it afterwards. And you wouldn't believe how much more the usage is, how much you get paid if you're shooting video as opposed to photography. And that's a big shift and a transformation a lot of photographers aren't aware of, but you'll make a lot more money if you're licensing video content as opposed to just still photography. And the reason is the usage is much greater. And there are a lot more opportunities financially for you if you're shooting video with your photography. Definitely recommend it. And since AI hasn't really kept up yet with video, hasn't completely made it obsolete, I think it's still a great opportunity in the marketplace to get ahead of the game. Now, like I had mentioned, we're doing unbelievable video content at each one of these photographic workshops, but I also still think that the photographic scenes, what we're seeing more and more of, is they have to be dynamic. You need to have multiple model scenes. This is really going into 2025, is seeing a lot of multi-model scenarios where it looks like you're inside of the scene with the talent. And I've seen this trend happening over time, and it's really, really valuable to create these moments where they look authentic, they look real. It looks like you're inside of the scene with the models. So it's almost like they're your friends. This is becoming more and more popular as time goes on, especially for Fortune 500 companies. And I definitely recommend creating content like this. Obviously, this is a challenge. It's costly. It takes a lot of time, energy, and money to produce a shoot like this. Just the scale of it, from casting from the top modeling agencies. On this shoot, we cast from Elite, Wilhelmina, Next. And also, we're bringing in top celebrity wardrobe styles. We're also bringing in prop vehicles like that VW bus. We're also shooting with, props like the guitar. We have this world-class fashion style styling with all this amazing wardrobe from all these amazing designers. And then most importantly, we're art directing the scene in a very active way. That's another thing that for most photographers, they really struggle with the art direction point. And going into 2025, I want you guys to focus really, really heavily on art direction. And what I mean by art direction is I mean the act of guiding the models into the scenario in a way that tells a story, and also aesthetically looks exactly how you want it to look. There are certain things, for instance, oftentimes if it's going to be a magazine, right? Or in print media which obviously print media is dying off, but still if you're doing an editorial, you still have to think about if there's going to be a seam down the middle, meaning have the models off to the right, then the other two models off to the left, like it's just in this case. This case, it would work great on a computer screen as well as in print media, because we don't have issues with a seam going right down the center of the talent. Very important. And I would want to make sure that, and I see so many photographers, even, if they're portrait or wedding photographers, a lot of those photographers struggle a lot with this type of thing because they're not used to that. but it's really important. It's really, really vital to have great art direction in every single scene, just so that you can create a story and also plan it so that the models are in the right position. Some other really great examples of some great art direction, for instance, would be something like this. This is another beautiful shot. This is shot by the great David Gesprick, who might also be on this webinar right now. He's shot this at one of our Epic Lifestyle workshops. But creating these moments where there's a sense that this is like a Free People campaign, right? And there's this sense of just wowness. Not only do the models look amazing, the wardrobe looks amazing, but then the expressions look amazing. And that's when all of it comes together. And this is really important to have it all come together. And this shows really, really, really strong art direction when you can create a moment that has great styling, great hair, great makeup, great wardrobe, and then, of course, unbelievable background. Like, this was actually interesting because we shot this on a hill where we're shooting up on a hill, which is kind of different, right? We're shooting up on a hill. So it's a little bit of shooting essentially on an incline, and it almost makes the models look like they're on a pedestal, but yet they're in the background, where it's a little hard to do this. If they're on flat ground, you really wouldn't see much of the background. It would just be the models and maybe a tree line. But because we're shooting with them on this hill, the hill becomes more of a really dynamic background. And I love doing stuff like this. And what was interesting is on this shoot, we're shooting at literally, it was like a several $1 million mansion. I think it was like a 12,000 square foot estate, and beautiful big estate. But I literally turned around the other direction and shot into his uncut grass because it was that much more interesting than the home itself. And I want you guys to start thinking about things like this, because to me, this is a very dynamic image. This is also a very, very marketable image. And this is the kind of image that's going to land you some huge advertising campaigns. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about multi-model scenarios. Think about what is very marketable to clients. Is there a lot going on in the image? Is it eye-catching? Does it create a little bit of wonder and intrigue? An image like this, you're shooting with, alpacas. You've got this little girl bouncing up in the air, hair is flying. You have unbelievable stories like this with different age demographics, different ethnic demographics. I love this. This is really in right now, stuff like this. Now, as you can tell, we've stayed pretty ahead of the game with the industry. And this is one of the coolest things about the Photography Workshop series, is that we're creating images that are essentially evergreen, that never really get old and stale, because we're creating images that are going to perpetuate into the new year. But I still think, even if you created amazing images with us, we always want to create fresh content to showcase to your clients, fresh content to wow and dazzle them, to get them excited about what's next, and to give them essentially a drip of content. And I do this a lot with clients, and I recommend you guys do this as well going into 2025. Have an entire folder and library of fresh content that no one's ever seen before, and have it ready to go. And every time you email somebody, every time you email a client, whether you've worked with them before or you're working with them coming up, send them something new and different every single time, so that every email transaction that you send to them is that there's a new image, there's a fresh image. And I love doing this because it constantly keeps them, oh, wow, he's doing something or she's doing something new and fresh every single time. And I love doing that because if you're showing something that's fresh and that's new, it can be engaging, it can be exciting, it can make the audience member, the client, always think, wow, what are they doing? I want to be involved with them. Because the way that the industry works, you guys, in the photographic industry, whether you're in commercial or consumer, everybody wants to work with the photographer that everybody else wants, right? You don't want to be, people don't want the photographer that nobody's booking, that's not in demand. They always want a photographer that's in demand, that everybody wants. It's the same thing in television. They always want to work with the TV director that's done the most recent hottest thing, or the film director that's just done the biggest blockbuster newest film. Always want to work with what's hot, what's new, and they always want that wow factor, right? of working with talent that's always being booked. Whether they're the best or not, it doesn't matter, but they want to make sure that you're busy and that you're always doing stuff, that you're always there. And that's really, really important. And I would recommend always to create content that is not only relevant and fresh, but also that they've never seen before. And I can't tell you how important that is, because if you're creating content that's new and the client hasn't seen it, they're going to be that more interested in being, oh, wow, okay, what are you up to? Wow, you just did this, epic photo shoot out in the desert. You created this amazing stuff with these top models. What are you up to? Oh my goodness, you just shot on a yacht down in Australia, which literally I just finished shooting on a yacht this last week. I did a one-on-one with the great photographer Evan Siegel, and we shot 6 models over the course of 3 days on a yacht in the Sydney Harbor, creating fresh, hot, new stuff. And the photographer Evan is going to be showcasing that amazing content to his audience because it's fresh, it's new, it's hot, right? The great Jaime Rivera, we're going to have him come on today, and we're going to showcase some of his amazing content. Some of the fresh stuff that he just shot at the Elite Masterclass that we just did, creating beautiful content that's fresh, that's new, that's in with, with the newest outfit, wardrobe changes, the newest, freshest models that are in, and also the freshest locations, as well as we're shooting content where we're also incorporating different props and things with also the newest and best places. So for instance, we did this whole series out in the desert with cars. We wanted to shoot essentially like an automotive lifestyle campaign, and we booked a brand new it was a Dodge Charger, and we wanted to create a whole campaign around that. So we shot with that, and it's fresh, it's relevant, it's something that, and we also shot with a very diverse set of talent. We created these amazing situations. It's almost kind of like a Coachella kind of vibe out in the desert, and we chose this spectacular film set location where they film a tremendous amount of motion pictures and TV commercials and TV shows out there. We had unbelievable styling, and then, of course, this beautiful car. Creating moments like this. Created mind-blowing content with Jaime, and this was our most recent lifestyle commercial advertising photography workshop, and the content created is just unparalleled. It's absolutely beautiful. And, of course, each day is very different, so we're out in the desert one day. We're also out on the beach another day. We were prepping at a $16 million beach house, shooting at that beach house, and then shooting out on the beach in Hermosa Beach, creating this unbelievable talent. But as you can see, the content is fresh. There are great moments. There's great interactions between the talent. The wardrobe is absolutely spectacular. These are like $1,600 Zimmermann dresses, but also everything becomes really not only it's fresh, it's in style, but also this content, this is very evergreen. Like this, I don't feel like these, these outfits are going to be super obsolete in the next, in 2025. This trend is continuing. It's a little bit of this upscale boho trend, and this stuff you're going to see in 2025. And thank you so much for the great comments in the chat. It's great to see McCall. McCall Jones says, Kevin helped me make a massive breakthrough in my art direction of my shoots, and it truly shows up in my images. His coaching made a huge and profitable difference in my work. That's awesome to hear, McCall. I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate those kind words. And I'd love for you to jump on as well, McCall, if you wanted to come and speak as a panelist. We have a couple other panelists today, but I'd love to have you come and speak and give your expertise to our amazing audience on today, because a tremendous amount of people are also going to be watching this and rebroadcast. But thank you so much, McCall. I really appreciate it. And I will also invite you as well to come on and talk. But yeah, we've had amazing success with our photographers. McCall Jones is one of our amazing photographers that has done some spectacular content. And McCall, if you want to put your website in the chat, that would be absolutely fantastic as well. He's a world-class photographer that creates beautiful content. And at the Newport Beach Lifestyle Workshop, McCall joined us and created just mind-blowing images that completely transformed his career to the next level. And that was really, really amazing. So feel free to join us on there, McCall. So going into 2025, you guys, I am really excited for photographers like Michel, as well as photographers like Jaime. When you look at Jaime's content like this, I mean, it's like, whoa, wow, okay, it's fresh, it's world class, it's high production, it's Jaime's doing an amazing job creating these images that are dynamic, great storytelling, unbelievable art direction, and there's a lot of emotion in the images. And that's one thing that I really want you guys to incorporate going into 2025 is emotion. Is really try to capture emotion, because that's what people respond to. That's what the audience responds to. They respond to something that's dramatic, that's emotion driven, something that creates a sense of wow factor, is a feeling. You want to evoke an evocative feeling in your content. And, and since we're talking about Michel, because he's one of our photographers on that's actually taken our epic workshop, I'm going to bring him on right now and actually showcase some of his amazing content. This was actually all shot at our Miami Beach workshop, which we have coming up in April. This is all done at one workshop, but really dynamic scenes, unbelievable talent, and beautiful faces, absolutely beautiful faces. Now, one thing that's interesting too, and I want to, address this about AI, I know, like, for instance, the image on the right here, this is so beautiful and it's, gorgeous girls. And I could kind of see this, some photographers create, like, AI has certain renderings that look like this, but the difference with AI is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you're using Midjourney, it's kind of the same faces. Now, you can adjust it and you can always, adjust prompts all the time, but the faces in AI kind of all look the same. And this is why I think it's really important as photographers to shoot important models, because these are top models. These are A-list models that actually have big followings. Some of the models we shoot are even celebrities. And the more celebrity the person is, the more it's important to have them in your content, because they need to be recognizable. Whereas in AI, obviously, it's not recognizable, and AI kind of generates just a uniface that's out there. And I've noticed that pretty significantly. It's kind of all the same. When as many times as you prompt it, it all kind of has a similar look and feel. Whereas I want fresh new faces of real people. And I think that's really important. Yeah. So Eric Graham says, sometimes during a photo shoot, aside from the model's pose or outfit, if she's emitting an emotion that catches my eye, I'll ask her to hold the pose so I can do dramatic full body shots and a shot that emphasizing her facial expressions like a portrait. Yeah, and Eric, I think that's a great way to do it. Really emphasize that facial expression, no matter if it's an up close shot, if it's a far away shot, if it's a group shot, it really becomes important. And I think Michel did a really great example of that. A scene like this, for instance, has a lot going on, right? 5 models, and most photographers might tear their hair out on a shoot like this, because it's, oh my goodness, what do I do with 5 models? Well, one of the ways I like to work with 5 models is what Michel did right here, where essentially we're bringing 2 models in front, 3 models in back. You could also do 3 models in front, 2 models in back. But oftentimes, whether we're working with, this works really well with a 3, 4, 5, or 6 model group, is staggering like this. If you're shooting with 2 models, sometimes it's a little off-putting to have 1 in front, 1 in back. Doesn't always work. Sometimes not. But oftentimes, if it's 3 or more models, I love doing stuff like this. I think Michel knocked it out of the park with this. And also Gulson, she's chanting in saying body language as well. And you're absolutely right, Gulson. There's a lot of body language here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And I really love the 2 models in the front, where it's like they're not looking in camera at all. They're all 5 models are actually, none of them are looking in camera. The model, the model on the far left and the second one in, they're kind of looking off, looking down and looking off. And I love that. But yet we're focusing on the scene. I love the art direction of the palm trees kind of, surrounding them, creating this beautiful vignette around them. And then you got these beautifully, perfectly lit models. I believe on this, we were shooting with giant bounces. I think in this scene, we probably shot with 2 giant bounces, 1 bounce on the models on the camera left, another bounce on the models on camera right. And we're creating this beautiful backlit, but yet bounced scenario where everything looks natural. And this is what I'm also seeing in, going into 2025 is more and more of lighting like this, where it looks very natural, authentic, and real. Strobes are kind of passe. They're not really in right now. We're seeing a lot of just manipulation of natural light. Now, I've been on this trend for a while now for those photographers that have worked with me, but I'm seeing more and more of this where everything is natural and everything is is beautiful and looks like it was all shot that way originally and not lit. Same with this. This was shot underneath a scrim. This is not even lit by any sort of a strobe or anything. This is just shot underneath a scrim in Miami Beach. I believe on this, we probably scrimmed it and then slightly bounced it with like a white bounce. Beautiful, beautiful. And makes them just absolutely beautiful. And even though they almost look lit, they're not. They're just lit by the beautiful natural light. And I find that is as absolutely breathtaking. I also love content like this. This is a great example too, where you're shooting with two models. And this is a little tricky to do where you've got one behind the other. But I like how the guy model, he's almost just kind of like an auxiliary person in the background. Whereas the girl in the foreground, I love the outfit. Great integration between this beautiful like Zimmerman dress and then this stunning Andy Baggis bikini. And it's opened up, so you kind of have, it's a little sexy, but yet it's classy, beachy, resorty, and then you kind of have a little, feel that, hey, the boyfriend is, walking behind her kind of thing. I just love this. This is stunning. So Michel, you did an absolutely stunning job. Really, really impressed with everything you did here. Beautiful content. And I feel like going into 2025, you've got some amazing ammunition. And I think that content like this, I recommend all of you guys to start working, creating content like Jaime, like Michel, and then of course he's shooting some beautiful swim as well as lifestyle as well. So we did both swim and lifestyle at this workshop. Absolutely stunning stuff. Love to see this. We have again another one coming up this coming April, which I'm really excited. And as each one progresses, we do them differently every single year. And we've been doing the Miami workshop now, I think, we've been around for 16 years. I think we've been doing Miami for 13 years. And it's been absolutely stunning every time. And probably one of the most popular workshops that we do of the year, which is pretty awesome. So we do have the great Michel Jones, which is awesome to see. It looks like he's adjusting his camera. And Michel, I know we're going to be seeing you again in 2025. So we're excited to see you as well at another epic, mind-blowing workshop. And I think it's important to do what Michel's doing as well as what Jaime is doing. They take a workshop, they create these core images to their body work that are just absolutely stunning, that are iconic, that are marketable to major clients. But then they don't stop there. They're like, okay, this is a great start to this core. Now what we need to do is we need to add to it. We need to add more value. We need to add more so that it looks like we're not just a Miami Beach photographer, that we're also, Michel, we need to also showcase that you're a Los Angeles photographer, you're a New York photographer, you're a Miami photographer, that you're a national photographer. And that's what I've done with my brands. I've always made my brands very national and even international, so that you can't tell that I'm just in one specific region. And I would say going into 2025, this is even more important than ever before, because we don't need studios anymore, you guys. We don't need studios as photographers. We can be anywhere. You can live in rural Idaho and still be a world-class successful photographer because you get flown in for the jobs. We just need to market you properly. All right, Michel, good to see you on. And why don't you tell us a little bit about well, first of all, tell me about the art direction, because we're talking about that, and why you feel like this has really increased your brand going into 2025, Michel.
Sure. Hey, Kevin, and hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. The chat bounces me out of my headphones. But as far as art direction, I never really understood, or at least I hadn't experienced being as much of a participant in the images I'm creating as I became at the Miami workshop. And what I mean by that is, yes, I'm used to bringing cameras and shooting and lenses and all that stuff, but I never really had as clear of an idea as I got from Kevin, and directly with his coaching while I was shooting, the role that I actually play with directing the models. And these are models, by the way, that know exactly what they're doing. They are tried and true professionals, dedicated professionals. But I really got to see where and how my role in directing them, guiding them, and helping them feel comfortable and secure really makes a difference in the final images. I mean, that's the short story. It was fun. It was educational, but the images ultimately speak for themselves. And as it relates to AI, many people have commented on the trio image. They ask, is that AI? And I said, no, it's not. Not only is it not AI, but the world-class makeup that was applied to each of the models, I didn't even have to adjust any of the makeup in post, which is normally something I have to do when I work with most makeup artists. So this is how talented a team that Kevin has pulled together. And it made my job, if you will, that much easier to have all these things in place. And I was able to focus on improving my own technique, which was exactly what I got to experience. So
absolutely. So beautiful art direction, unbelievable storytelling here, and very, very iconic. I mean, you look like, you're a super famous photographer with content like this, Michel. So I really love that. Now, tell me about how this is transforming, your business for 2025. Has it been able to raise the profile of your photography going forward in 2025? And by the way, if you wouldn't mind just I know you're probably on your phone or camera or whatever. Just not touch the camera for the next, 15 minutes or so. But Michel, if you can tell me a little bit about how it's affecting your photography business. Has it increased interest in your photography?
I can't even begin to describe what a difference it is for my existence as a photographer pre-seminar versus post-seminar. Even when I was showing people my individual images when I came back from Miami, it changed everything about how people perceived both my images and, of course, me at the end of it. And it's night and day. It was just it's as if I really didn't exist as a photographer prior to Miami in that regard. I mean, as far as the reputation in terms of people's reactions, but most importantly, as it relates to being a professional, the doors these images have opened for me. I went from talking with people who are, let's call them thousandaires, that every single person I meet with is a multimillionaire now. And that includes individuals, meaning they're looking for photographs for themselves. But of course, that also includes brands and publications. And the work, as well as the work that I've produced since, has literally just changed the narrative in ways that I know that would have not changed without these images, point blank.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome to hear. Now, in regards to, I would say what you're going to do for 2025, do you feel like this has given you like a major cornerstone in your brand? Because literally your entire website has changed. Like what you had on your website before and what you have on your website now, it's a completely different Michel Jones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I knew that my initial website was at a deficit, and it was at a deficit because I didn't really have access to exactly what you provide, and that is the world-class fashions, the models, the locations, etc. To be able to pull it together on my own was basically an impossibility. I mean, I was able to get nice and even good shots, without it, but until I was able to really step up that production level, there really wasn't a chance, and my website, showed that.
Totally. So what are your plans for going into 2025? What do you want to do? How do you want to catapult your photographic career using this amazing content?
Well, now is the time for outreach. I thank you and your team, Eric, if he's on board. Thank you so much for your support, because it really opened my eyes in terms of not only the work but the dedication and the volume that's necessary to really make an impact out in the marketplace. And I'm sorry?
Keep going.
Oh, okay. And I have stepped up my networking. I'm going to 2 to 3 events a week, and I'm speaking with not just individuals and publications, but also organizations that can benefit from my work. And I'm very warmly and very well received. And those are turning into more meetings, and those are turning into clients. And in fact, I'm negotiating right this second a project that I'll probably end up shooting on Monday with a medical service provider in Beverly Hills That simply would not have happened had I not, been able to produce the images from this seminar. So I'm currently in negotiation for larger projects than I was doing before, and I will just keep following that trend. Now, as far as 2025, it's really about ever increasing the volume of outreach that I have. And what I noticed the other day was that I went from basically a massive machine that was at a standstill to a massive machine that I'm slowly getting moving, because people are now reaching out to me. They're calling me for projects, as well as, of course, I have to be the initiator of that contact. And I'm growing much more comfortable with that process now that I see that it's moving. And I saw the challenge I faced where nothing was moving. I literally didn't know anybody that I needed to know and that I know now. And now I just plan to keep that going. And I'm working quite closely with Eric, and we're mapping out that schedule, mapping out the volume of items that needs to be sent out. And you've been great with coaching on how to follow up, on what exactly to say, on who to pursue. And every day, probably 60% of my day is just reaching out, well, not reaching out yet, but finding people to reach out to. That includes publications and getting to know them, and then making those phone calls and following up as quickly as I can. All of those things have made a massive difference in setting myself up for 2025, and I have no intention of stopping.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. And everything you just said, McCall, which going to like 2 or 3 networking events a week, all photographers need to be doing that right now. And if you guys aren't, then plan it out for January, because that is absolutely such a brilliant thing to do. And McCall, you're lucky enough to live in a major area. You're in Southern California, right?
Yep.
So if you're in a major city, you're in LA, like you should be going out every week, 3 times a week, like you're doing. I think that's absolutely genius.
And I'll even say for the introverts, I'm an extreme introvert. The last place I want to be is out in public. But I've really recognized that there's really no other way. But I also recognize why I'm so exhausted, because I have to be on top of my game every time I go to these events. I have to know not only about photography, but I really need to know also about the industries that I'm speaking to. A lot of the people I'm speaking with, some of the people I'm speaking to are very much into aviation. They're pilots, they're airplane manufacturers. And I happen to be well versed in that entire industry, and that alone helps people understand and be comfortable with me. That's one thing I've noticed that's very important, that if you're negotiating with somebody, they have to be comfortable that you know not only photography, but you also have to know their industry. And I found that I'm extremely conversant in, say, aviation, that they're able to respect me both as a photographer, but also as somebody that's going to respect their work and their industry. And I found that makes a huge difference as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what are you going to do on the marketing front as far as the reach outs for 2025 that you feel like is going to, because I know you've done a ton of coaching with our team. We have amazing world-class photographic coaches. And if you guys haven't done it already, I strongly recommend, or even if you have, I strongly recommend you guys jump in and set up a photographic momentum plan. And we have, I think that, this is something that we've got amazing photographic consultants standing by. In fact, the great Eric Schmitz he's our top guy that worked with McCall, and he's amazing. It's totally free. We're offering it free. And this is really important because going towards the end of the year, these are sessions that are a couple $100 an hour to have a photographic consultant coach you, guide you. But we're offering it for free with my top coach that works personally with me. And I think it's really a valuable aspect if you guys get an opportunity to, just like McCall, to set up a coaching session, because it literally will transform your photographic journey. Now, I just put it as an offer. It's completely free. And of course, this says 2024. We can finish out 2024, but we can come up with your 2025 plan. Go ahead and schedule that out and jump on a one-on-one session with Eric, just like McCall did, and it's led to all this amazing success. So, McCall, do you have a certain strategy of what you're going to do with, like, how many emails you're going to send out? Are you using agency access? If so, who are you reaching out to, and what type of clients are you going after?
I'm just starting now with agency access. I think one of the ironies is I've been so busy with making personal appearances and going to actual networking that I haven't really had time to actually focus on agency access yet. But now that I'm sort of moving into that, now's the time I'll be starting with agency access. I'll be looking at brands. I'll be looking at publications as my first stop. And what I found interesting is that every time I reach out to a given specialization, meaning an agency, a brand, etc., it tends to spin into other related brands and agencies. They all tend to know each other, and once I'm actually in the circle, I notice how much possible work is actually there. So my main thing is just to be and remain competent, to look and sound competent, and that's been a huge, anchor point for actually having these conversations. But really focus on expanding my outreach. You guys are talking about 200 outreaches a day, and that was very daunting for me, but now I've been diving into it for a while. I really get how that's possible, and I know that I have to build up to 200 per day, and I'm very diligently working with that. I jumped in with both feet to the coaching and just listened and soaked it in and take action as best I can. And it's been showing results. And now I'm negotiating projects that I would have never been negotiating, just over, basically, almost a year ago. This would have never happened. So again, I think the number one thing for me to do is, I'll say it, it's the hard work. And for me, at least, it feels like hard work, but it's hard work that I know I have to do. And thankfully, that hard work gets easier the more that I do it. But you have to face that fire. You have to face that bear, so to speak. And that's what I've been doing. And as much heavy lifting for me as there's been, I'm now seeing the results. And I'm really thankful for your coaching and the training and the effort. I thank myself as well for putting in the effort. But it's taken longer than I expected, but the results have been solid. I've not had to backtrack. I've not had to recover from any mistakes. And I'm very grateful for that. So onward and upward. But again, outreach is my number one thing. To let people know that I exist, which has been going well. To contact people I've never met before. To thank people for I ran into a publication that's been around, but they had an American launch. And I'm going to send, hey, congratulations for your new American launch. It's a UK-based magazine. And I'm just going to keep reaching out to people like that and just begin to basically make new friends.
I love it. Now, Michel, can you tell the audience essentially kind of what your experience was like on set? Because I always have a lot of the photographers always like, what is it really like when you're with us at these mind-blowing experiences? Now, you attended the Miami Beach workshop. I know you're going to be coming to another one in 2025. But tell our photographers what it was like to actually be on set at one of these mind-blowing experiences with all these top supermodels.
Well, let's see. First off, when I have done shoots myself, I typically have to produce it, I have to cast it, I have to do all kinds of things to put everything into place. And in this case, first and foremost, the extraneous, I'll say, the non-shooting related heavy lifting was already done. The casting of the models was done. The casting of props and vehicles was done. The world-class makeup artists, the world-class models, the world-class locations had already been selected. So there was actually a really great amount of work that I didn't have to worry about that enabled me to truly, genuinely focus on just improving my photography. And I do definitely have to, I'm basically, the other part of my existence is I spent a tremendous amount of my career in large agency advertising. So I'm used to the advertising function, but as a project manager and as sort of a creative manager. Now I'm doing it as a creative. So that's step one. But step two, I also have a lot of producing experience for photography and film production. So I congratulate Kevin for his absolutely world-class organization skills and execution on the part of his team and on the part of all the people that he brings in, because a well-organized production crew makes all the world of difference. And it takes the pressure off of literally everybody, yourself, the team, as well as the client, because eventually you're going to have to deal with clients who are going to be breathing down your neck every second on that shoot. And the smoother things are, the more likely you're going to get hired again, the more likely they're going to get the shots that they need. So I'm extremely aware of that, because that's a huge part of my actual, historical career. So as far as being on Kevin's set, everything ran smoothly. Everybody was calm. Everybody was absolutely professional. Everybody was there for the same reason. And even though there might be some, I guess, theoretical competition among the photographers, even the participants, did a great job of working together. So I could not give higher kudos to the highly positive and super successful atmosphere on the locations each day, each and every day. Everybody was at the top of their game, and it's impossible to complain about that. And it showed me that I have to be on top of my game, which I try to be all the time, every single day and every single second. And so that's what I got from being there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you were a joy on set. You were so much fun. And I think that the kind of energy and the personality that you have, that's what we're looking for. And one of the things that's important is I've always been told that the experience of the photographer at one of these amazing productions, a lot of it has to do with who's there, who are the people there. And I think it's really important to stack the production with amazing people. And we're very, very selective about who we allow in, as McCall knows. And the photographers that you got to work with, they were all wonderful people. They were all there to grow. They were all there to help each other. And it was really special to have such an incredible group of human beings all in one place, shooting the greatest photographic and video content of their lifetime. Yep, and you got to be a part of that, which is cool because, a guy like McCall, you want McCall on your side. You want to be around guys like him. He's amazing, and he's there as a team player to help everybody involved. So I love it. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, McCall. I really appreciate it. I encourage you also to set up your momentum session with Eric going into 2025. And please set that up because I want to see what you can create. And I'd love for Eric to give you some guidance going into what's next for 2025 for you to crush it this coming year.
Excellent. I will. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, McCall. You're an absolute inspiration to us all. And I think, your images speak for themselves. They're absolutely amazing. All right. And awesome stuff in the chat too, guys, by the way. Thank you so much. I have a lot of really great comments on here. Gulson's asked, and Gulson, I could have asked McCall while he's on, but I'm bringing a question. What is the Department of Field and Fashion Photography? I assume the photographer worries about more collection colors that bring some flat scenes. We need to explore how to lose deep in field in the scenes and somehow some dramatic work. So McCall, Gulson, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking there, but I would say that as far as depth of field, one of the things that is really important is shooting with a very, very deep depth of field, meaning a lot of photographers that I work with, I have to retrain them because a lot of you guys will shoot everything at like an F 2.8. And everything is very, very shallow depth of field. Now, while that can be cool for like some, interesting shot of a flower or maybe a portrait, but I still don't agree with it with a portrait because, if you're looking at a person and, they're turning their head, the eye, like one side of their face is going to be in focus and the other side of their face is going to be soft focus. So I always recommend a very deep depth of field. So I'm generally shooting everything between, my ideal is shooting f/22 if I can. That way I have everything in focus. But, realistically, that doesn't happen very often unless you have a tremendous amount of light. Now, in the case of McCall, he got to shoot with me in Miami Beach, and there is a lot of light in Miami Beach. So I would say a lot of the content we were shooting together was shot at around f/13 or so. So as you can tell here, 4 models, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. All of them are in focus and the lifeguard tower is in focus. So this might have been f/13, even f/16, because there's so much depth of field here. I love that because it shows a really, really strong, sharp image. Everything comes together. Now, if you want to have that beautiful feel where just the models are in focus, just their eyes and their faces are in focus and everything else is soft, totally fine. I still recommend shooting with a very deep depth of field and then in post-production use a Gaussian blur to slightly soften the rest of the image and then paint through in Photoshop just the areas that you want razor sharp. So that is one great tactic. The reason I always shoot with a lot of depth of field as well is because the clients, when you're shooting with a big advertising clients, they don't want their product blurry. Okay, so if they're holding a can of Coke and the can of Coke is blurry and everything else, the person's face is sharp, well, the image is unusable and the campaign is useless. They want everything in focus. They want the can in focus. They want the person in focus. They want the clothes in focus. They want everything in focus. So it is important to have everything razor sharp. I think that's really important. So that would be my strong strategy for you, Gulson. If that's what you were asking. Oh yeah, it's funny that I guessed that. I literally just guessed by looking at the image what the depth of field was. And I literally said F13, and McCall says, yes, it was at F13. That's awesome. But I do have that ability over the years. In fact, I was just sitting on a yacht this last week in the Sydney Harbor photographing with these top supermodels in Australia with the great Evan Siegel. And we were like literally just, you know, Evan busted out his camera and he says, oh, you know, what should I do for an exposure? And just off of the top of my head, I'm like, okay, it's going to be an ISO 200. It's going to be an F11. And you're going to be at 500th of a second. And this is the exposure. And it was like exactly the correct exposure just by me looking at, you know, what's happening in the scene. And I've been able to do that over time because I have a lot of experience. But for those of you guys who don't or are unsure, the great thing is we're shooting with the digital cameras these days. And it, you know, and generally it's pretty accurate what our camera is going to tell us as far as the light metering. But oftentimes what I don't like to trust my camera. So I do also recommend everything you shoot in manual and adjust everything. Don't do aperture priority, don't do shutter priority because it won't be perfect. Oftentimes your camera isn't perfect and there's certain lighting situations where it reads it as correct when it's not correct. So always to get the best results, shoot everything manual, everything in RAW, and also try to shoot with as high a depth of field as possible, just like we did with the great Michel Jones. So anyway, these are excellent questions, though. Keep them coming, you guys. I love hearing questions. Eric Graham asks, I'm looking to get into filmmaking, especially as a director and a screenwriter, but with a visual flair added to it. And directors need to know a little bit of everything anyway to make the best executed films. You're absolutely right, Eric. You know, and by the way, just so you guys know, I am, you guys probably, you know that I'm a celebrity fashion photographer. I shoot for Giorgio Armani, for Burberry. In fact, I shot 2 Burberry campaigns last year. However, I also do some other really cool things. I'm the TV director, host, and producer of the TV travel show Great Escapes that airs on CBS. And it's been airing for years now, and it's an amazing TV travel show. And I have had the privilege of directing, hosting, and producing it for years now, and it runs in syndication as well. So this is something really cool and direct as well. So this is something I was able to essentially translate my photographic skills into video by doing this TV show that's aired worldwide to millions of people over years. And this is also, we're going to be doing another season, which it looks like coming up, which is really exciting. So I'm going to be continuing to film. And this is also, Eric, if you want to really get into filmmaking, Photography Workshop Series, I know it's called Photography Workshop Series, but it's just as much video production and video workshop series as Photography Workshop Series. We're shooting just as much video as we are photography. It's made for directors and cinematographers just like you. So if you want to get into filmmaking, one of the hardest things in video is to have the production. The productions are expensive. Models and actors and actresses, they're very, very expensive. Production crews, you know, cinematographers, camera equipment, gimbals, all the gear. It's very, very, it can be very costly to do a big production. But the cool thing is that at all of our workshops, we already have that. We already have the scale of $100,000 a day production. That way, the content is so great that we can use it for our video reels. We can use it to land television opportunities, to land TV commercials, and even get into filmmaking, which is awesome because the quality of the content is so strong. And yeah, you're right. Directors do need to know a little bit about everything. Directors, you know, sometimes they come from, you know, becoming writers. Sometimes they come from the cinematography world. And sometimes they come from being producers. So they come from different walks of life. But if you can kind of know a little bit of everything, it can be really valuable. I'm one of those people, obviously, that comes from more of the creative visual side. So obviously I came as a celebrity fashion photographer. I got into being a cinematographer. And then I translated that into directing, and I do a tremendous amount of art direction as well. So that's kind of a lot of my experience. Now, in addition to that, one of the cool and exciting things that I'm actually sharing with you guys for the very first time, because I haven't really even mentioned this yet to anybody. It's totally new and fresh. But I am also, I have a new TV show that I am going to be hosting coming up, which I'm really, really excited about. And it's Chateau DIY. It's going to be at my French Dream Castle. So if you guys aren't aware, I own a 49-room palace in France, which the great Eric Schmitz, we were just talking about. I just flew him over to the castle this last summer. And we also hold a mind-blowing fashion photography workshop at my French Dream Castle. But essentially, it's a 49-room palace in France that I have spent millions of dollars on creating the entire interior like the Palace of Versailles. I just installed 150 24-karat gold chandeliers and wall sconces. I have created this mind-blowing interior and exterior of this amazing castle, but it's built in the 1200s, and it is absolutely spectacular. And then the TV show that I start filming this spring is going to be featuring myself, my co-host Priscilla, and we're going to be showing the entire transformation of what I did from acquiring this 4 years ago and then transforming it into the palace that it is today. Which is really, really exciting. It's going to be airing globally, and it should be airing this. We're filming this spring, and it will be airing the following winter, which is pretty exciting. So, anyway, I'm very involved with this stuff, you guys. So, with Chateau DIY, I'm going to be one of the hosts, so I'll be on camera, and I'm also going to be obviously involved producing and being involved with a lot of other aspects with cinematography and a lot of video content that I'll be filming that will be featured in the TV show as well. So I have a lot of experience with that. And on top of this show, we're planning on doing a tremendous amount more filming and video production at my castle coming up. And by the way, guys, just so you know, I didn't inherit anything. I came from absolutely nothing. I grew up in a village of 2,000 people in rural West Michigan, broke as a joke with absolutely nothing. My parents struggling to even be able to pay the mortgage on a tiny little 1,000 square foot home crammed in with all of us. And I started out with absolutely nothing. And now as a photographer, I've been able to be very, very successful shooting photographic content and commercial production, and to be able to achieve the ability to buy a castle in France and to have this unbelievable opportunity. But it all comes from all the tactics and strategies that we talk about every few weeks on these live webinars. So if you guys want to have an unbelievable successful career and you want to shoot for Burberry and Giorgio Armani and shoot campaigns for Pepsi and such like I have, I recommend following all the guidance that we've talked about, just like Michel has, just like he's been doing, just like all of our amazing photographers have been doing over the years to create these stunning, unbelievable images to transform their photographic portfolios and to transform their entire careers that have achieved incredible success. Whether it's in lifestyle, whether it's in fashion, all of that is really, really, really cool and important. And everything we talk about is to prepare you for that incredible success that we want from each and every one of our photographers. And many of you guys are on right now. You know, I encourage you guys to get back involved, because I know I see a lot of familiar faces. I see the great David Gasprick on. Great to see you, buddy. I see we have Al Noor. I've had the amazing privilege to work with Al Noor, who actually is the one of the inventors of the JPEG. He's on watching this webinar right now, Al Noor Morali. He's attended several of our amazing workshops, including our Elite Masterclass, which is great to see you. Great to see you, Gulson, and Eric. And I know, some of you guys are enrolled in our Photographers University, which is awesome. Pat Major, we just had an incredible opportunity to have Pat at our masterclass in Los Angeles that we just did, which was absolutely incredible. And Pat, I'd also love to invite you to join us on, if you want to just say something in the chat, if you could put your website on the chat, I'd love to invite you on as well to be a panelist as well, because you just came off of a mind-blowing experience in the desert where we shot incredible content with cars, with top models. We shot with horses. We shot with 2 different parachutes. I mean, it was a production that was absolutely otherworldly, completely otherworldly. It was incredible. So anyway, really, really great to see all of you guys on here. We have so many past photographers, and we have so many new photographers that haven't had the privilege of joining us yet. And I encourage you guys, if you haven't gotten involved in one of these epic, mind-blowing workshops, it will completely transform everything in your world. Joel Mora, great to see you, buddy. So awesome to have you on. We have so many great photographers on that I've had a chance to work with before, which is absolutely fantastic. So awesome to see all of you guys. Eric as well, our great photographic consultant. He's standing by to jump on because he's the one that McCall mentioned. But we have a whole team of great photographic coaches, and they're here to help you and to guide you and to give you that free advice. And you know, you guys, I did the hard way. I started off from nothing. I didn't have family support. I didn't have my parents' support. I didn't have friends support. I have nothing. And I had to just bootstrap it all. I had to go into debt. I borrowed about $150,000 in money that I didn't have, that I had to pay off over many years of student loans. I had to just bootstrap everything and hustle since I was a kid to be successful. And photography is all I've ever done. But to me, I had an absolute mission to be driven for success. The trouble that I found is that getting into the photographic industry, I realized that even though I did my bachelor's and my MFA to be a professor of photography, I realized that the photographic educational system is heavily broken. I realized that the photographic universities that I went to, I mean, they were okay, and I enjoyed going to college. It was a good time, but I would say I wasn't really prepared for the industry. When I got out, I didn't have a world-class body of work. I had a mediocre student portfolio, and I didn't have the knowledge of how to make it as a business person. And I realized very quickly that I needed to kind of like kick it into gear, learn the business side, create a world-class, commercially viable portfolio that my university didn't prepare me for. So one of the things is I realized that there was a huge missing in photographic education. And that's why I founded the Photography Workshop Series 16 years ago, was to help fellow photographers just like you, just like McCall Jones, just like Pat Major, just like Joel Mora, just like Jaime Rivera, who's going to be jumping on as well. And by the way, Jaime, if you can also shoot your website in the chat, and then I can invite you on to be a panelist. But in all of these cases, you guys, I realized that early on that the photographic education system needs a complete overhaul. And that's why I created the Photography Workshop Series and Photographers University, because I wanted to completely transform the photographic educational space. And I felt like because there's this huge missing, there's this huge discrepancy in where photographers are and where they want to be, what they want to achieve. And I realized early on that, you know what, the first and foremost thing that every photographer needs, they need the pillars of success. Number one, the number one pillar of success in photography is going to be your photographic brand. That's everything. Without your photographic brand, good luck. You'll never be successful. And when I say brand, it means your world-class website, your website with unbelievable top models, celebrities, or top celebrity models, unbelievable content, world-class celebrity fashion styling, world-class hair and makeup, unbelievable production, incredible locations, great props. All of it needs to be perfect. All of it needs to be over the top, eye-catching, great expressions, great energy, and it needs to be A-list on iconic. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, you're not going to be successful. Simple as that. That comes first. And I realized that there's a huge missing in that. I would say 99% of photographers don't have a brand that's powerful, that has iconic, images, that has celebrity top stylists and world-class supermodels. And I realized, you know what? There's a lot of photographers that deserve to be successful, but they're just not, because their brand is holding them back. And that's why I developed Photography Workshop Series, is to transform photographers, just like McCall Jones, into world-class iconic photographers that are a complete juggernaut in the industry. And that's what I wanted to create. And Jaime, for instance, is a world-class photographer that when I met him, he was already an incredible photographer. He was a just genius photographer. However, Jaime didn't have the same level of production, the same level of talent, being world-class models in his portfolio that he really needed, to really take it to the next level. And with the photography workshop series, just in the last couple of years alone, we've won over 250 photographic awards in the One Island Awards, Lurzer's Archive, Communication Arts, Color Awards, all the International Photography Awards, Budapest Awards, the Tokyo Awards, all of the awards around the world we've won. Actually, it's more than 250 now. I actually need to retrace the tracking of that. It's closer to 300 just in the last couple of years. We also win in the Top 10 Fashion Photographers in America award every single year. We won 7 out of 10 of the Top 10 Fashion Photographers in America award in the One Island Awards, and you can see some of their winning images right here. This is just from the fashion side, not to mention the lifestyle side and the swim side. Unbelievable content. And I realized that with the Photography Workshop Series and Photographers University, our mission was to transform photographers into iconic world-class image makers that can compete at the highest level, that can get published in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Vanity Fair, that can shoot ad campaigns for Gucci and Giorgio Armani and Burberry, to be able to shoot campaigns for Pepsi or Capital One, or be able to, land those huge opportunities with major brands, or if they're a wedding photographer, go from shooting a couple $1,000 wedding to be able to shoot a $10,000 wedding or $15,000 wedding. We have opportunities that we have seen our photographers completely transform, but it all starts with the brand. So number one, develop your photographic brand. That's what we're going to do for 2025. So if you guys haven't done that already, we're going to completely transform that brand. I strongly recommend you focus all of your investment, all of your dollars first into your brand. Number two, your photographic marketing. And that means, that's in the place where Michel is in right now. And also Jaime, who's jumping on and going to talk to us shortly here. He's in that place where he just started with creating mind-blowing content with his brand. His brand's awesome. It's a great start, just like Michel. Jaime's brand is awesome too. However, now is the time to market it. Now is the time to put yourself out there, market to these people. Now, I do strongly recommend getting involved with mass emailing, mass phone calling, mass social media use, meaning DMing these people, meaning getting on LinkedIn. And I recommend getting the premium LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator and be able to massively build relationships and contact people on LinkedIn every single day. At least spend 3 or 4 days a week contacting people on LinkedIn. Okay, really important. It's one of the reasons, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, I have 19,500 connections and over 20,000 contacts on LinkedIn. So if you looked at my LinkedIn, it's pretty powerful, and you can see just the power of a strong LinkedIn and a strong brand on LinkedIn. It allows you to communicate with important decision makers, people that you would want to work with. So I recommend focus on LinkedIn really heavily in 2025. It's very valuable. All the biggest decision makers are in there. So if you want to talk to all the best art buyers, creative directors, all of the best, photo editors at magazines, in-house design firms, anybody in the industry, they're all on LinkedIn. So get your LinkedIn up to date. Get it ready to rock for 2025. Update it. Make sure you have great banner images, great profile images. Also, make sure that all of your you have featured, interesting featured posts, and then also that all of your business, like essentially your business, because you guys are all small business owners, all have icons on them. Each business, for instance, French Dreamcastle, Trade Productions, Indigo Productions. These are all my production companies, and they all have icons on them. I'll always go to a lot of photographers' website or LinkedIn's, and I see that they don't. They're missing that. So make sure that that's looking clean, making sure that that is everything's looking flawless on your LinkedIn, and then start reaching out to people. Also, if you guys aren't already, you all need to be using Agency Access if you are going into any commercial photography whatsoever. Agency Access, it's the mass database of all decision makers that hire photographers. Now, it is expensive. So make sure that you are ready and your brand is ready to go before you get involved with it. But it is vital. So, if you want to, shoot a campaign and you want to go after, say, a major brand, and you want to shoot for, say, Coca-Cola or something like that, without agency access, good luck. It's not going to happen. You pretty much need this. This is my agency access. I just typed in Coca-Cola. It has all the decision makers at Coca-Cola directly in the creative department, all their contact phone numbers, email addresses, their names, all their details. And you can also look up every single ad agency and all the art buyers and creative directors that work at the ad agencies that also work with Coca-Cola as well. So you can go in-house directly as well as to their ad agencies. So this has everything from fashion brands to corporations, lifestyle brands, ad agencies, everything you can think of, everything's in there. Strongly recommend you guys heavily market. We go in depth about that. And by the way, guys, if you want to work on these 4 fundamental pillars of success in your photographic journey, I do recommend getting involved in the Photographers University. I believe Jaime has had an opportunity to join us with that. And the Photographers University is essentially, it's a 30-day accelerator. We start again this January for another 30 days going in depth about your 4 pillars of success in photography. One being the pillar of success of your photographic brand, maximizing your brand. The second week, and by the way, I give in-depth sessions privately to you each week for 30 days. So you get 30 days with me. We go in depth about your photographic brand, your photographic networking, your photographic marketing, and then, of course, closing the deal and booking more clients. Those are the 4 fundamental pillars. We go over all 4 fundamental pillars of success during our Photographers University 30-day accelerator. It's all done virtually. If you guys are interested in that, it's also a much lower cost, a lower investment, very inexpensive. And the cool thing about getting involved in the university is 100% of that investment goes towards your 5-day photographic workshop. So if you guys, want to get ready for January and you want to go big in 2025, the Photographers University is a really great way to jumpstart that process. All right. So without further ado, I would love to bring on the great Jaime Rivera. Now, Jaime, and I've had you on as a panelist before. You're always one of my favorite speakers to come on. And Jaime, I mean, you're an incredible photographer. You're brilliant at what you do. And you already were when I met you. And I remember having this conversation. But before we even took the workshop, Jaime, I believe, did you do the university before the workshop or after the workshop? I can't remember. Before the workshop? Okay. For some reason, your audio isn't, or on my end, it's not. Keep talking. It's audio still not on yet. Anyway, so I think maybe before the workshop that he attended in person, he just did the masterclass with us very recently. Jaime did the Photography University. And that was kind of his segue into all of this, right? So he got into the Photography University. Keep talking, Jaime. I want to see if we can hear you. Still can't hear you. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, there's something going on with the audio. You might have to jump off and jump back on again. And if you do that, just make sure to write in the chat your a website again. That way I can add you as a presenter. But anyway, so as Jaime went through the Photography University, and I'll have him tell you guys more about it. But essentially, we were able to identify his original brand, discover what he needed, what he wanted to achieve, and then how we can help him fix that and fill the gaps in what he needed. And what we quickly discovered is that Jaime was a world-class photographer. He had really great work. The problem is that Jaime, I think he lives in Orlando, Florida, doesn't have access to the top models, doesn't have access to world-class celebrity stylists, doesn't have access to the unbelievable production teams. So because of that, Jaime was limited to his location and what he was able to add to his portfolio just sheerly because of where he lives and what he had access to with production. And and of course you can try to produce it on your own, and you can, fly to New York or fly to LA, and you can, spend, generally at the scale of $100,000 a day, this production was. I mean, this is, if you go on any major car campaign, for instance, they're even more than that. But we just did this. I mean, this is equivalent of, like when you see Dodge's commercials and photographic campaigns. Their photographic campaigns are usually around $700,000 for 3 days, just to give you a context. $700,000 budget just for the production and usage for 3 days. That's their typical budget. Now, this is a 5-day shoot to give you an idea, and we shot at the same scale that Dodge does. Pretty incredible. And Jaime created some unbelievable content. Really, really proud of him. Really incredible work. But he is an incredible photographer. But also, Jaime realized, throughout the process of the Photography University and through his coaching, he realized that his work was amazing. But he was, keep talking, Jaime.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jaime, when you very first started with us, with the university, I think, I identified you as a world-class photographer. I mean, you already had the skills. You already had the eye. You already had some great content. But you and I talked about it, and it was like the biggest missing. It was not your photography. It was not your skills. It was not your personality. It was the level of models, the level of styling in your images. And I feel like that's something that we identified early on, and look at what you've been able to achieve now.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I had such a amazing time. The amount of content that I got in those 5 days is it's never ending, And like you say, I come from being a photographer for a long time, but never had that opportunity that I had with the photographic workshops experience. It was incredible. Not only, obviously, the photo technique and all the how to take a picture is there. But the main ingredient, which was, what's in front of the camera, I never had that opportunity. And then not even talking about having the finances to finance myself, all of that, so having that opportunity to get on board with you, and having all this much content that I can go and now sell myself as a top photographer, with, in hand, with the portfolio in hand to sell myself. It's completely a different game right now for me.
I love it. So it's transformed your brand.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So how do you feel like, have you noticed clients you've been speaking to or potential clients, have they looked at you differently?
Absolutely. It has opened doors that I never thought they would be open, because, it's not the same having a, I come from having English being my second language, right? Yeah. So imagine me trying to talk to you in Spanish where you don't speak Spanish, right? So it was the same for me in my photographic career. I had, all the intent to make it, to talk to these people, but I was not speaking the same language. Now with my images, with my lifestyle brand, the doors are open, and I can go in with my head up high, and just, it'll be another day in the park talking to these people now, because I have the backup of the imagery that talks to them before I even open my mouth.
Totally. Yeah. So you're leading with your content, and even before you even speak to them, it's like, wow, they're already wowed and dazzled by you and your brand. And also, by the way, I love your website. It's really clean.
Thank you.
Personally, I would probably put this image on the front of your website, because it's it's so strong. Everything about it, it's very real. I mean, this does not look like an AI image.
Right.
This looks real. This looks authentic. Yeah. This is a highly produced. This looks like a $700,000 campaign shot for Dodge.
Awesome.
And you also have the video content to boot. So we shot this as a commercial, as a full-scale commercial with drones, with gimbals, the whole nine. And the production is so incredible. You have an actual television commercial in your reel right now that you can put together. I don't know if you've edited it together yet, but it's unbelievable, the content. So Jaime, you're in a really, really incredible position with world-class content. And I'm really proud of you because this is going to transform you going forward. And you're going to land bigger and better campaigns. Have you gone after any car campaigns yet with this content?
So yeah, I have email they're part of the email campaign. So far, he's crazy, man. I've never sent so many emails in my life, but I'm at like more than 5,000 emails, and constantly, without bothering people, obviously. But it's now I have the content, and every time I email, it's a different image with the same value, the same production value.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
When you say 5,000 images, do you mean like 5,000 like an email broadcast, or are you talking about like transactional emails, like one by one?
No, like mass emails using agency access. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and 5,000 is a good start. That's a good start. But agency access has like 100,000. So definitely, I would start going after an even wider audience, and I would recommend, go after more like, you have to identify obviously the ones in your industry. But say you go after, it's probably going to be more about 30,000 that you want to start marketing. So I would have different lists. I would have your really important list. Maybe your 5,000 is all art buyers and creative directors. And then I would also have like a even wider list that includes more like associate creative directors, art directors as well. And then what I would do, Jaime, is I would also do a lot of transactional emails. And I know it seems tedious, but, pick out maybe your top 200 art buyers and personally email them. And I know it sounds tedious, but trust me, it will make a difference, because if you personally email them, it will be, and I would do it in a similar way. Like I would have an image, say you're going after RPA in Los Angeles, which is in like El Segundo, I believe. And they work with Honda, I believe. You show them the content that you shot for Dodge, right? You show them the car campaign. You contact, Coca-Cola, you show them your Coca-Cola images. You contact the certain clients, obviously, that work with each. Obviously, Porsche, you can go after Porsche and other luxury cars. You got, like this for like Coca-Cola and an ad agency that represents Coca-Cola. You got diversity. You've got, really California in the sun kind of vibes. You've got great brand Doritos. Awesome. You've got all, and this is smart. What Jaime did here, guys, in the workshop. This is all during one workshop, by the way. This is just one workshop over the course of 5 days. We're shooting at a $16 million beach house in Hermosa Beach, but then also shooting with products. Jaime incorporated Dorito chips, Coca-Cola cans, Dodge cars.
My cell phone, the
iPhones, unbelievable scenes. And I love it because you have a really dynamic images to showcase that also incorporate brands. But I would pick out like your top 200, and I would recommend everybody on right now for 2025, pick out your top 200 art buyers and or creative directors. But I would probably start with the art buyers as the most important. And there aren't that many art buyers. So pick out the best art buyers at all the ad agencies and just hyper target them through transactional emails.
Okay.
Brief. Send them a 1 or 2 sentence email with an image relating to what they're doing. And, showcase your work, ask them about themselves, what they're working on, that kind of thing. And then follow up with them with a phone call. They don't pick up, call again. They don't pick up, call again. Call them multiple times a week. Then email them every week or 2 weeks. Keep sending transactional emails, and you'd be surprised how far you'll get. Yeah, McCall Jones Chanson, RPAs in Santa Monica. Yep. So it's in right in California. I've been to their offices. I think I was at their office when they were at the El Segundo location, which is right next to Santa Monica. But I've met with, all these agencies. Most of the big ad agencies, for instance, in Los Angeles, all have a car company associated with them. So if you go to like, Team One, they have Lexus. If you go to Saatchi and Saatchi, they have Toyota. If you go to RPA, they have Honda. They have So anyway, so they all go after these brands and use what you've shot with brand associated. But this content's all lifestyle, and it's really helping. And also, Jaime, we're doing another workshop together in 2025. Which one are you coming to? Miami, which is awesome because he lives in Florida. So this will give him that content that we just saw from like McCall Jones, that kind of feel. And that way it gives him the Florida look. And now he's got California look, and it works really together, really well, because now you look like a national brand. Really strong. Really strong. So excellent job. And Jaime, going forward into 2025, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve?
Man, and my goals, I heard one time that if your goals doesn't scare you, they're not big enough. I'm scared out of my mind. No, and it's incredible. My goals are big, and the one thing that I didn't have before, I have the ammo now, to go to war, kind of thing, so to speak.
Yes,
and that gives me, the spine. That gives me, the head held high, and what we call in our Jewish world the chutzpah,
Yes.
To talk to people, and call people, and just, my goal, financially, I want to reach the $200,000 mark in the 2025. So I'm dividing it by quarters, so and I'm very active, doing what I need to be doing, as far as calling, emailing, following up. And I know that one of your big speeches is, follow up. Yes. And that's what I'm doing, and I always say, why reinvent the wheel? We're giving, thanks to you, we're giving all the tools to succeed. I'm just going to follow, I'm just going to go step by step what I need to be doing, and just, trust the journey, trust the system.
Absolutely. And Jaime, you could easily make 200,000 in one shoot. We just see those. And so I would recommend you keep doing what you're doing with your current clients, but let's go after those big bad boy campaigns. And you have and look at this image. This is insane. I mean, we just shot this together on one of the days, shooting out in the desert. We shot with parachutes with 3 models. Unbelievable story here. This is incredible. Where are you going to shoot something like this? This is not AI, guys. This is all real. This is right out of camera.
All real.
This is amazing. This is absolutely stunning. And I'm really proud of you, Jaime, for shooting content like this. But you know what, though? Follow-up is key. I was preparing for this webinar, but I made sure to follow up with this television opportunity because it's really important. And they emailed me, and I followed up back with them immediately because I have to coordinate our filming dates for the new TV show at Chateau DIY at the castle. And I had to be on top of it. I want to make sure that I follow up as much as possible so I never miss an opportunity. So I want you guys to always do the same. And Jaime is a smart guy. He's also super talented, but he also has seen the big picture, you guys. He's seen the big picture of what it takes. It takes a lot of effort. Doesn't happen right away. But I want all of you to position yourself to make 2025 your year.
Right.
And you easily can, especially with content like this. Your content here, Jaime, is absolutely astounding how gorgeous this is. You should be extremely proud because just like you said, you have ammunition now. You've got ammunition. You've got ammunition to send to somebody. When you send something like this to people are like, what? Who is this? Who is this Jaime guy? What? How do we not know this guy yet? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want ammunition so that you have a powerful body of work that wows and dazzles people. By the way, this is another one of my absolute favorite images. This is stunning. This is really authentic and real. Absolutely gorgeous. And also love the background, love the context, love the wardrobe styling here. Stunning.
The styling was on point, man. It was incredible.
Incredible. Yeah.
The makeup, everything is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't mess around. We have unbelievable production teams, A-list, only the best for my photographers. And look what he gets to walk away with, you guys. I'm
Right.
so proud of him. And now, Jaime, you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars more just because of the small investment you made in the workshop series and the Photography University. Can you now? I know we've talked a lot about the images. Can you talk a little bit about what you learned with the Photographers University and how that benefited you?
Well, it was incredible, especially, having a coach and having all those classes. There's so much content, and every class I made so many notes, took so many notes, and then I'm able to just go through my notes and just repeat the process. It's so much content and so much. What I like about the workshop and the classes is that step by step. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. I don't have to figure anything out, so to speak. Everything is there. Everything is, you're very clear and very outspoken. You don't hold anything back. And many of the questions that I didn't even know I had were answered in the 30-day accelerator in the university. And I was able to go back, whenever I had a question or whatever, I was able to just go back to that specific class, and then answer my question. And then talking to my coach, Eric, Eric was great, incredible coach. I was just able to just make things happen, And the amount of inspiration of all the special guests that you have in the classes, it's just, there's no, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're able to also use your entire enrollment in the university towards your in-person workshop. So it ended up being free in the end, which was awesome. So Jaime, was there any certain experience or advice or something during the 30-day accelerator that really stood out the most to you that you feel you've had the most impact in your life because of it?
Well, there's one class that stood out the most. Oh, every class is incredible. Every class I learned tons of things that I should be doing. But the one class or the one talk that you gave was the 10 biggest mistakes every photographer makes. And I was like, every single one of them, I made every single one of them, So the fact that knowing that, and then I can change what I was doing, that right there was the worthwhile, the cost of the class, of the 30-day accelerator. Just that one class. Yeah.
Excellent.
Incredible.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. And I appreciate that. And I think that that is a really good topic. I'll probably do another live webinar about that. The 10 biggest mistakes that photographers make. It's so common. There's so many mistakes out there that we all make. And a lot of times the challenge is, Jaime, a lot of us have to just do trial by error. So a lot of us, we do the mistakes, and a lot of times we don't even know the mistakes we're making. We don't even realize it. We're just making mistakes, We're just, doing dumb stuff, and we don't even realize until we get it pointed out to us. And then we're like, oh my gosh, why was I doing that? I wasted so much time and energy and money, and I could have been doing something else along the way that would have made me so much more successful. So I love that. And that's a big part of what we're doing here, Jaime, is through the university. It's accelerating you. It's a 30-day accelerator. It's accelerating you so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And if you are, then we can correct them and adjust them. But then also, how awesome was it to shoot the greatest content of your lifetime in person with me and create this mind-blowing portfolio, dude, that I am so proud of you. And I'm so excited, not only the photography, but the video, this content that is literally like career transforming content that you can be so proud of, that already you're getting responses from people who are like, holy crap, like, who is this guy? Like, this guy is amazing, and that to me, I mean, that's worth its weight in gold, like worth its weight in absolute gold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if you want to show, but right there on portfolio, where it says portfolio, I put video or reels, I think.
Oh, nice. You've got a reel in here.
Yeah. So this, I did it myself. I'm having other, yeah, look at that.
Yes. Love it. Is the audio playing? I can't.
I don't hear the audio, no.
I don't hear the audio. Wow. That is impressive, buddy. That's awesome. This is a full-scale television commercial, buddy. This is amazing.
Right. I did that myself, but I'm having a professional video editor do, like reels and stuff.
Yes,
but
yes.
I just wanted to have something really quick, and I put.
Can you even have is that like the Jeep Wrangler?
Right, and
we also have the Dodge. Excellent. What I would do with this idea is I would probably have them as separate commercials. I would do one just Dodge and make it just about Dodge, and then I would have one that's like the Jeep, and then one about the Porsche. Like have them as separate commercials.
Okay.
And because it's and I would also incorporate a ton of stuff with talent. I mean, using the car, getting in and out of the car. Because we had so many different moments like this. This is a great one, right? This one too. And I would do a ton of this stuff, a ton of the talent stuff. Absolutely, because that's the really expensive stuff. Where there's like talent with the car. But that's beautiful, absolutely brilliant. There's so many great scenes and sequences that we shot that it's like, oh my gosh, like I made sure, and I had all kinds of parallaxing clips where, I shot with parallaxes where it's like, spinning around 360 and then turning all at the same time. I made sure to do a ton of that when we were filming. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible, man. The amount of content that I have is just endless.
I love it. I always aim to over deliver at every one of these productions. That's why we've been around for 16 years and we've been so successful because I put my heart and soul into these experiences, and it's important to me that you get to walk out with content that's just like, holy crap, I can't believe I shot this. Like, this is absolutely like nuts how epic these productions are. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
No, it's incredible. And I thank you, man. Thank you for putting it together.
Always.
It's life-changing, completely life-changing.
Yeah. I think that one of the challenges I always hear from photographers is the investment. They're like, you know what, to invest this amount of money, it's 19 grand or whatever. It's a lot of money for them and stuff like that. But I think a lot of photographers don't realize the true cost of production and what it would really cost to put something like this on your own until they show up at the workshop. And then they're like, oh, I get it. Okay, this is actually a deal of a lifetime because to do this on our own would be, massively more expensive.
Right. No, absolutely. And the level, I mean, you can put stuff together, maybe, if you have the money, but the level of models that we had, the level of the stylists that we had, the level of the makeup artists, the hairstylists. I mean, the wardrobe, that takes a lot of money, man. And that the high level of all this, the quality of all those people, it was just incredible. And it's incredible to know them and to work with them, to know they actually exist.
Exactly.
They're real people, And
exactly. Yeah. And now you have those relationships, which is a big part of all of this, is to build the relationships so that you have them too.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The scale of it. I think that's one of the things that a lot of photographers don't really realize until they get to the workshop, and then they're like, oh, okay, this is on another planet. And you know what, you guys, if you want to compete in this market, you've got to have the scale in 2025. You've got to have the level of quality and the production scale of high level production to compete at this level. It's really important. And if you don't, you're going to be just in the dust.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And was there a certain scene that wowed and dazzled you the most when you were at the masterclass?
I love being in the desert, and then I love the scenes with the parachute, the scenes with the horses. I mean, I was so impressed with everything that every scene was my favorite.
I love it.
I never had that before, and being, in the photography industry for such a long time, and now having this experience after all these years, it was like, this is what I've been wanting my whole life, and then I try not to take any single moment for granted. I took everything, took advantage of everything. And like, I think it was Jay Foster who say you have to be it's like the term of a sponge, but it's he put it a different way. Let me see if I can find it. It's a master thief. I think that's the way he put
I love
it. Master thief, where you're just stealing everything for your benefit, but in a good way. Now, obviously, in a good way. Oh, he's giving me a message here that it's going to go out.
Yeah, just because we're going on so long, but it's all good.
But anyways, to finish my train of thought, it was so over the top. It was incredible. Everybody was with the attitude of working really hard to helping each other out. Even your people, the makeup artists came out to help us, the photographers. The makeup artists came out and help out, and everybody was in with one goal. It was just to get the images and then put it out there to the world to see, and absolutely. To make us, all the photographers who were there, to make us a better life for ourselves after the workshop.
That's it. Yeah. You made amazing relationships that are gonna, last your career. All these incredible people that you got to meet, from the stylists, the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, to the other photographers. Yeah, this is another great, cool ass scene. I love this. This is insane. Like, where are you gonna do something like this? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And also, Jaime, I recommend posting a ton of this stuff, like shots like this, on your social media, because it gives the understanding that this is real. And I can't tell you guys enough, like, in this day and age of AI, we need to show behind the scenes to show how real something is. It's so vital to show reality and to show what people are, that this was a real actual shoot, that there were real talent on set, and that we were photographing this for real and filming it. But like, look at this. This is insane. I mean, anyway, I get really excited, and I can't wait to see, when your final reel comes all together. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jaime. What's that?
I said that I didn't want it to end the last day. I was like, man, I don't want to go home, I want to keep shooting here, But
that's what I love to hear. I mean, that's I know, and it's 5 days, which is exhausting time, but we're trying to get so much content, and it's really important to get as much as we possibly, and that's why we do it 5 days. Jaime is some photographers are like, well, maybe I'll just do 2 days or 3 days, which is also possible. But the problem with that is that the best scenes of the workshop, as you noticed, didn't they get better and better as the week progressed?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like the most iconic scenes were towards the end, like day 4 and 5. They became more and more iconic and more over the top as each day progressed. And we designed it that way. So it's a final culmination. And look at this. This is insane. Level of production here. It's just out of this world. Yeah.
Can do that in Orlando.
Yeah. And I have access to all the best locations in the world, from, $16 million beach houses in Hermosa Beach, like we did at the, that you got to experience, to shooting, you guys probably saw some of the content for just for this webinar. This was, we used this kind of the marketing material. This was shot at a $40 million mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, that we had access to for the New York workshop. That's where that was shot. So I have the, to my palace in France, at the 49 room, castle in France, where it's, absolutely insane. Locations, I've got you covered. It's the best locations in the world, the most insane places. And we try to always outdo ourselves every year at every single workshop. And every single workshop is different. So if you attended Miami one year, it's different the next year. You attended the masterclass, it's a complete transformation, and it's something completely different. We did this really insane one where we shot at a 1940s with 1940s fighter planes at an airfield. We actually did this one twice because it was so amazing. Or this castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s. So just the scale and the insane locations, it really adds production value. Just like that desert location we shot at with Jaime to the castle in France. Just the sheer production value is out of this world. Anyway, Jaime, it was so wonderful to have you on. I can't wait to see you again at the upcoming workshop in Miami. And I really appreciate all the kind words you had from the Photography University to the in-person workshops. And you're a great example. And you're going to be a case study because I'm really invested. I've been doing this for 16 years, and I'm really invested to see the success and the trajectory of where Jaime Rivera is going to be from when I started with him, last year or beginning of this year to where Jaime is going to be, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and to see success. And I want you to document all of it, Jaime, because I want us to share this with the world.
Absolutely. Be my honor.
Cool. All right. You take care, Jaime. I appreciate having you on.
All right. Take care.
All right. So thank you guys so much. This was, I know, a long webinar, but for those of you guys who stayed on, I really appreciate it. We had a lot of amazing content, some incredible panelists. We shot some great videos and photographies from some of these amazing productions and what you can see of what next for 2025. But all I can stress is showcase value, massive scale production, unbelievable content, behind the scenes content to show that it's not AI, that it's real, authentic. Also, high-end video content like your TV promotional stuff that you can use to market yourself, to shoot those $700,000 shoots, and to really go after the big fish, to go after massive, completely master your brand, master your marketing, develop your network like Michel Jones was doing 2 to 3 days a week, and then close the deal, book more clients, and make more money. I definitely recommend you guys get involved in the Photography University. The next session starts January. If you guys have any interest in joining and getting involved, Michel and Jaime have both been through it, and they had amazing experiences. And I can't wait to see each and every one of you guys at the university and in person to create the greatest images that you've ever shot in your lifetime, guaranteed. And I can't wait to see each and every one of you guys on. You guys have an amazing holiday, and I'll see you guys soon.